Hello my friends, let's start from the news of the day. The International Court in Hague issued an arrest warrant for Putin, the president of Russia. The arrest warrant not just applies for Vladimir Putin himself, but also for the Russian Presidential Commissioner for Children's Rights, Maria Alexeyevna Lvova-Belova. They are suspected in committing the war crimes in Ukraine, basically by moving the children of Ukrainian people outside from their parents to the Russian-controlled territory. This is called a deportation, and by the way, deportation is also the part of the genocide. It's just the start of the case, and in the future we'll see more accusations on Putin. Honestly, I'm very surprised about this decision. I haven't imagined that it could be that fast in 1 year of war, knowing this bureaucracy of the European commissions and international courts. Finally, they openly and publicly announced the warrant for the Russian leader, and it's great. So potentially he could be arrested in 122 countries that implemented the Rome Statute in their jurisdictions. Here we're speaking about the part of the North America, almost all Latin America, all of the European countries, excluding Ukraine, by the way. We signed the Rome Statute but haven't certified it to be a part of Ukrainian jurisdictions, and also United States, by the way, and there are some of the countries in Asia that applied the Rome Statute in their jurisdictions. And it was done just in a few days before the Chinese leader Xi Jinping visit to Moscow. Even though China doesn't recognize the international court as well as Russia, but in the eyes of the other world, they will see how Xi Jinping is shaking the hand to the war crime committer. And Russian officials say that it doesn't matter, it's just a piece of paper, it doesn't mean anything. But no, this is the big reputation hit on Russia and on Putin himself, and it's just the start of the story. It shows that our allies have decided to finish Putin presidency and format Russia. Here, with this official warrant, it's understandable now that we'll never speak with the Russian president, we'll never sign any kind of the peace agreements with Russia, because he is accused for the war crimes and he should be prosecuted. Fortunately or unfortunately, but now I can say with 100% reinsurance that this war will continue until Putin loses his power. And also, it's the big warning for the other representatives of the Russian elite, because they may share the destiny of their leader, so they show it. Get rid of Putin and you'll be not prosecuted. So now it's up to the Russian elites whether they want to dismiss the Putin from the power or not. There will not be the return back with the current president, because mostly Russian officials, oligarchs, they want to make business as usual as it was before the war without any sanctions. And now they understood that there will be no return and they need to act as soon as possible. If Putin keeps power, the situation for them will deteriorate and escalate. And that keeps me optimistic about the future of Vladimir Putin, about the future of Ukraine and Russia. So they will pay reparations, I have no doubts about it, and the war will be over. Could be over very, very soon, even tomorrow. Then Russian elites would understand everything and will act. But if they wouldn't act, somehow, if they're on their own suicide mission, obviously this war may continue for a very long time, even for many years. But the outcome is inevitable. Russian economy would just shrink under the Western sanctions. They will lose many more allied countries, and finally Russian Federation may even collapse under the Putin's ruling. So in a long-term perspective, I don't see the bad scenario for Ukraine, but I see not a good scenario for Russia. It could be better if elites would act just right now. And President of Serbia, Vučić, the Serbia still is some sort of the ally of the Russian Federation, and they have also the Wagner representatives in their country. So he said that the warrant on Putin is one step closer to the biggest conflict in humankind history. I would not agree on that, because Putin is still scared to use the nuclear weapons. And against what country will he use those weaponry? Against Ukraine, it will not solve his problems, Ukraine will continue to resist no matter what, and against the other NATO countries, in that case he will have the payback. The last time the international court applied the warrant for the country leader was with Muammar Gaddafi back in 2011. And this is the Russian news we have over here. Libya does not recognize the warrant on Gaddafi. And we all know what happened to that guy. Yes, he was not prosecuted, but still it was partially the outcome of the warrant, of the international pressure on the leader, plus military pressure. And speaking about the sanctions that are slowly killing the Russian economy, so here we have the news about the shortage of the spare parts for the airplanes, Boeing and Airbus mainly, but also Russian-produced airplanes because they use the same spare parts. For example, the spark plugs, Russia is in lack of those, and those should be replaced at that certain time, so without it the airplanes would not fly. So mighty Russia couldn't even produce their own airplanes built from their own spare parts. Plus, this week Turkey implemented restrictions for the Russian airplanes to refuel in Turkish ports, and also they are unable to do any kind of the maintenance jobs out there. And good news from Turkey, they agreed to give the green light for Finland to join the NATO alliance. So there will be the poll in the Turkish parliament and they will vote for the decision. Still, we are not sure whether they will decide to give the green light or not. Also, President of Turkey Erdogan said that they will continue to negotiate with Sweden about the possible membership in NATO. So Turkey really has its own interests in the region, and not only that's why they a little bit postponed the membership of other two countries to join the NATO alliance. Hopefully Ukraine will join it as well. Some of the bad news: we have a massive Shahid attack just right now, and 1 hour ago there was the big explosion reported in the Dnepr area, and as it was reported, some sort of the infrastructural object was hit by the Russian drone. The boom, as you can see, is much larger than usual, so it could be some sort of the oil or fuel reservoir. And the United States launched today the bigger drone. It's RQ-4 Global Hawk, and it was flying the same route as Reaper that was hit by the Russian Su-27 airplane. So Global Hawk is kind of the big bird compared to Reaper. It has enormously huge range, it has better equipment, and also it has the jet engine unlike Reaper. So there is no propeller in this case. As I told you, Russians probably destroyed the Reaper drone by the reckless flying mistake, not by the order. Good news for Ukrainian Air Force: Slovakia has approved the transfer of 13 MiG-29s to Ukrainian army. It's great, because before they were speaking about 10 MiGs, so 13 is always better than 10. So about the recent explosion that happened not far away from Dnipro city because of the Russian drone attack, Russians shared this image and say that this is the oil storage facility that was attacked by the Russian drones, and there was the explosion. It could be like that, but I found this facility on the Google Maps. But this is not the oil storage. If you zoom in, you may see that this is the reservoir to store the grains that we got from our fields. So this facility, actually, it's not about the fuel, not even close about the fuel. Here you can see all of the grain reservoirs out there, and Shahid could possibly destroy one of those storages out there, causing the huge fire, because the grain is dry and it burns with lots of the heat. So what they're doing, they're destroying the food supplies for Ukrainian people. And about the current condition in Bakhmut, somehow it still holds. It's a miracle that our soldiers can resist in that case. Well, obviously, urban environment helps to resist against the Russian attacks, but still Russia uses everything they have in the region to try to get the city under their control. So far unsuccessfully, they partially took it from the east, from the south, partially from the north in this factory, but not moving very fast. I would say the standstill situation continues for 2 of the days, and it's the good sign. If we go to the timeline, it was yesterday and it is today, so you can see no any changes. About the future Ukrainian counterattack, there is still recruitment in Ukraine for the special division. We call it attacking division for that specific counterattack, and the hirement continues for 2 more weeks. Also, guys need some training, and that takes usually 1 month. So our forces will be ready till May, and during the springtime we're gonna start the counterattack. Whether it will be successful for Ukrainian army, I think so, but it is also a big question of how many soldiers we're gonna lose during this counterattack, because attacking side usually has 3 times more losses compared to the defending one, and Russians were able to build huge defense lines on the south in the area of possible Ukrainian counterattack. So I hope that we'll have enough weaponry to make our losses as minimum as possible during that counterattack. My friends, now press the like to this video, and if you want to support my job, there are some links available in the video description just below for you to do so. Thank you so much for your help. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.